It's Tuesday, the 17th of June. Welcome to the PDB Afternoon Bulletin. I'm Mike Baker, your eyes and ears on the world stage. All right, let's get briefed. First, as the war between Israel and Iran escalates, President Trump abruptly left the G7 summit in Canada to rush back to Washington for a meeting with his national security team. The conflict, now entering its fifth day, is reportedly exposing some rifts within the president's cabinet regarding the intelligence that prompted Israel to strike. We'll have those details. Later in the show, FBI Director Kash Patel turns over a newly declassified intelligence report to Congress regarding an alleged plot by the Chinese to tip the scales of the 2020 U.S. presidential election. The scheme reportedly involved using mass-produced fake U.S. driver's licenses to create fraudulent mail-in ballots in favor of former President Biden. Now, is there anyone at this point that's shocked at the idea that China and or Russia, frankly both, would be involved in election interference? But first, today's afternoon spotlight. The war between Israel and Iran is exposing a divide within President Trump's cabinet over the intelligence that prompted leaders in Jerusalem to move forward with preemptive strikes against the Islamic regime and their nuclear infrastructure. While speaking to the press aboard Air Force One in the early hours of Tuesday morning, President Trump broke from his Director of National Intelligence, DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, regarding her position that the mullahs in Iran had not yet decided to build a nuclear weapon. Gabbard delivered that controversial assessment during a Senate intelligence briefing all the way back in March, insisting that the nuclear threat from the Islamic regime was currently contained, despite their ongoing enrichment of near-weapons-grade uranium. I don't think that the word contained means what she thinks it means. As a reminder, Gabbard had testified, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003, end quote. But on the other hand, U.S. intelligence on this subject is nowhere near as deep and well-sourced as Israeli intelligence on this subject, and basing your assessment on the hopes that Iran isn't working towards a nuclear weapons program isn't much of a national security strategy. On the flight, Trump contradicted his intelligence chief, reiterating his stance that, in his view, the regime was, quote, very close to building a nuclear bomb. His position aligned him with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, who has said his country's strikes on the regime's nuclear sites and military leadership were necessary due to the imminent threat of a nuclear-armed Iran. While speaking to the press, CNN reporter Caitlin Collins pressed Trump on the subject, reminding him of the words of his DNI just 3 months earlier. Now, to be fair, intelligence is fluid, meaning what's accurate 3 months ago may be completely useless now. That's why you're constantly working to gather intelligence. The shelf life on useful, actionable, or accurate intelligence can be extremely brief. Shaking his head, a seemingly annoyed Trump bluntly responded to Caitlin Collins, quote, I don't care what she said, meaning Gabbard, they were very close to getting a nuke. As Trump plans his next steps regarding the escalating war, his remarks raise questions about the debate within his own administration over Iran's nuclear program and how strong the internal support is for Israel's military intervention. The president's dismissal of Gabbard's assessment came after he abruptly left the G7 summit taking place in Alberta, Canada on Monday to rush back to Washington to meet with his national security team in the White House Situation Room. Despite the apparent friction within his intelligence apparatus, the meeting is expected to be attended by Gabbard, given her role as DNI. She's also scheduled to testify in a closed session on Capitol Hill alongside CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Trump's G7 departure, meanwhile, raised, a lot of eyebrows, particularly after the president somewhat cryptically told the press that the mullahs of Iran, quote, want to make a deal, and as soon as I leave here, we're going to be doing something, end quote. Shortly after, French President Emmanuel Macron confidently stated that Trump had left the summit early to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, who've now been trading missile strikes for the past 5 days. But Trump quickly took to Truth Social to blast the statement from Macron. Trump said, quote, he has no idea why I'm now on my way to Washington, but it certainly has nothing to do with a ceasefire. Much bigger than that. Whether purposely or not, Emmanuel always gets it wrong. Stay tuned. End quote. The president also triggered a firestorm of speculation after his departure from the G7 when he warned that, quote, everyone should immediately evacuate Tehran, end quote. It remains unclear what prompted Trump's dramatic warning, but many wondered if it meant the U.S. was preparing to formally get involved in the war in support of Israel. It's no secret that Israel has been trying to persuade the U.S. to join their campaign, as the U.S. military is the only operation out there with the planes and bombs needed to effectively penetrate and destroy Iran's most fortified nuclear facility at Fordo. But a White House spokesman later denied reports that the U.S. military would be imminently attacking Iran, saying American forces were still maintaining their defensive posture in the region and that nothing had changed. Trump later said he wanted to pursue a, quote, real end to the war, not a ceasefire. He also suggested he would like to send U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff or Vice President J.D. Vance to meet with Iranian officials, but noted that it would depend on how the situation evolves. But the president continued to send mixed signals. By midday on Tuesday, Trump demanded in a Truth Social post Iran's unconditional surrender and issued a thinly veiled threat against Iran's supreme leader. He said, quote, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He's an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers, end quote. It remains unclear what Trump's next move will be, but he warned the Iranian regime that, quote, our patience is wearing thin. All right, coming up next, FBI Director Kash Patel turns over a newly declassified intelligence report to Congress regarding an alleged plot by the Chinese to tip the scales of the 2020 U.S. presidential election. I'll be right back. Hey, Mike Baker here. Now, as you know, I am, frankly, known far and wide as quite the fashion icon. So let me give you the benefit of my extensive style knowledge and tell you about a great company. And that company is True Classic. Look, True Classic goes beyond fit and fabric. Their mission is to help men show up with confidence and purpose. That's important. Their clothing is designed to fit well, feel great, and stay affordable so men can look sharp without overspending. What truly sets True Classic apart is the intention behind the brand. From supporting underserved communities to helping men feel more confident in their daily lives and even bringing humor to their messaging, they lead with purpose. Each piece is tailored where it matters and relaxed where it counts, offering a clean, comfortable fit that works for everyday life. Look, there's no stiff fabric. Nobody wants that. There's no bunching. You certainly don't want bunching. Just dependable quality and design. I've got a bunch of their shirts and sweatpants in my closet, and they are terrific. They fit great. They look great. Look, now I'm told by the kids that it's really leveled up my drip. At least I think that's what they said. Anyway, say goodbye to overpriced designer labels and throw away fast fashion. True Classic is built for comfort, built to last, and built to give back. You can find them at Target, at Costco, or visit trueclassic.com/PDB to learn more and explore their collection. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. A long-buried intelligence report is drawing fresh scrutiny to the 2020 election, and this time it's coming straight from the top of the FBI. Director Kash Patel has declassified and handed over to Congress a once-shelved report alleging that the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, mass-produced fake U.S. driver's licenses in a plot to hijack the election in favor of Joe Biden through fraudulent mail-in ballots. The document, compiled initially in August of 2020, had been quietly recalled by intelligence officials at the same time that then FBI Director Chris Wray was publicly downplaying the risk of foreign interference. Under Patel's leadership at the Bureau, that buried intel has now resurfaced and landed in the hands of Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley, who has long questioned whether credible leads of election interference were smothered to avoid political fallout. According to sources familiar with the document, a relatively new confidential informant warned the FBI in mid-2020 that Chinese operatives were manufacturing and shipping fake U.S. driver's licenses. The goal? Create fake voter identities for Chinese nationals living inside the U.S., who could then illegally cast mail-in ballots for Biden. Intelligence officials say the operation was explicitly political, engineered by Beijing to tip the ballot box. Despite the implications, FBI officials abruptly shuttered the investigation, citing the need to re-interview the source, a process that was never completed. Meanwhile, U.S. Customs and Border Protection intercepted, here's a clue, nearly 20,000 high-quality counterfeit licenses shipped in bulk from China. That's an incident now viewed by officials, as potential corroboration of the original tip. In a statement to Just the News, Patel said the intelligence included, quote, allegations of plans from the CCP to manufacture fake driver's licenses and ship them into the U.S. for the purpose of facilitating fraudulent mail-in ballots, allegations which, while substantiated, were abruptly recalled and never disclosed to the public, end quote. Patel later posted on X, writing, quote, the FBI has located documents which detail alarming allegations related to the 2020 U.S. election, including interference by the CCP. He added that he acted, quote, immediately to declassify the material at Grassley's request. While Grassley's office has yet to comment in detail, sources say the chairman is now reviewing the files. Patel, in a separate statement, credited Grassley's persistence, saying, quote, thanks to the oversight work and partnership of Chairman Grassley, the FBI continues to provide unprecedented transparency at the People's Bureau, end quote. The revelations are poised to reignite, of course, partisan clashes over election security, transparency, and the treatment of intelligence in the final months leading up to the 2020 vote. Whether further documents will be declassified and whether the original source will now testify, that remains to be seen. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Tuesday, the 17th of June. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And, of course, to listen to the show ad-free, you can do that, and you can do it very simply. Just become a premium member of the President's Daily Brief by visiting pdbpremium.com. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool. Hey, Mike Baker here. Let me take just a few seconds of your time to talk about your personal finances, your hard-earned savings, and how to protect them. Right? Did you know that in the last 12 months, gold's value has jumped 30%? And central banks all around are buying gold in record amounts. Look, with the usual ups and downs in the stock market and general uncertainty over the global economy and trade wars and actual real wars and those pesky BRICS nations pushing hard to replace the U.S. dollar as the global reserve currency, you can see why thousands of Americans are turning to Birch Gold Group. Because in uncertain times, gold can offer peace of mind. Birch Gold makes it easy to convert your IRA or your 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Or, like a lot of folks, you can just buy gold to store at home. Text PDB to 989-898, and Birch Gold will send you a free information kit on gold. There's no obligation. It's just useful information. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text PDB to the number 989-898.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.